Hi everyone, glad to be here. I'm John Deutsch. I'm going to try to go quickly because mostly I want to tell you stories because stories and food stories are where it all is. My big idea today is to really think about healthcare as a specialty food channel. We've been working a lot around food alternatives to drugs. Can you hear me okay? Is that working? No? Channel 6. Beyond Channel 6. Okay. Food alternatives to drugs. So a lot of our focus here when we talk to people is about how to get into retailers, maybe a little bit food service. Is anyone specifically targeting the healthcare market as a market? Are you trying to be on patient trays, assisted living? A few of you. That's great. So we've had a little bit of success in this area, and I wanted to tell you some stories. Real food alternatives to drugs. This is Ali Zeitz, who co-founded the Drexel Food Lab when she was a student. She's now off in the real world, but I promised I would always include this slide in every future presentation. I know Layla's texting her a picture of it now, one of our alumni. So the Drexel Food Lab, as Sarah said, does good food product development and food innovation for real world problems. And we have very simple principles. First and foremost, we're focused on doing good, and that can mean a variety of different things. We tend to work in the areas of upcycling, food waste, some aspect of sustainability, health promotion, food that's good for us, and access, food that's accessible to as many people as possible. And the best projects work in multiple areas. So do good is first, feed well, which includes nutrition, but first and foremost for us is taste. I truly believe if something's not delicious, there's no point. It could be the best thing in the world for you, but we've seen not a lot of success if it's not something craveable and wonderful. And then third, keep going. These are all market-driven solutions that we think have legs in the marketplace without subsidies or prescriptions or anything like that. And we do our work with all sorts of companies, from startups through multinationals. And we say we're somewhat platform agnostic. So we work with nonprofits, we work with major food companies, we work with government agencies. And so we're behind the scenes on a lot of products that you see every day, and many more that you've never heard of. So I want to talk about 3 projects in the food for health space. We had a really interesting thing happen a few years ago, which is we had our first non-food client. So we're pretty skilled now. If a Hershey company or a Bimbo Bakeries comes to us and asks for some help, we're kind of ready. We know what to do. Well, we had our first non-food client, which was United Health Group, which kind of surprised us. Why would a health insurance company, they're the largest private health insurer and the largest underwriter of Medicare and Medicaid, why would they want food product development, food product innovation? And so this took us down, this is our sort of origin story of how we got into down this road, and I'll tell you 2 others. So the problem they specifically wanted us to look at is Ensure, and others. Ensure is the market leader, but there are other oral nutrition supplements as a category. And they were specifically looking at seniors over 80. Which is a growing segment of the population and a kind of underserved segment. I don't know any marketers in the room who are like, our target is over 80, right? It's not the 18 to 35 we hear so much about. When you're over 80, the main determinant of whether you'll go back into the hospital or die is caloric intake. After 80, you can kind of stop worrying about artificial sweeteners and fish oil and all the kind of stuff that younger people worry about. Just get enough to eat at this point. And so because of that, gerontologists know that and physicians know that. And pretty much any senior over 80 goes to the doctor and leaves with a prescription for Ensure. And if they're on Medicare or Medicaid, which every senior over 80 pretty much is, United pays the bill for that. And so typically what we'll see from a consumer behavior perspective, they go to the doctor, which they do quite frequently. They leave with their prescription for Ensure. They take it to the pharmacy. They fill it, very compliant. They take the Ensure home, and where does it go? In the cabinet. These are Depression-era seniors who know poverty and know scarcity, and they have stockpiles of Ensure in case of a rainy day when they might need it. But horrible, horrible compliance, right? They're not taking it, they're not using it as the drug that's prescribed. So United wanted us to look at this problem because every time a senior leaves with one of these prescriptions, they pay for it. And they thought, this is food. They can be paying with cash. People buy food with money, you may have noticed, right? And if they can't afford to buy food with money, they should be using SNAP, food stamps. So this should be a USDA problem, not a Medicare problem. So we talked to seniors. Lo and behold, we found that they don't like this stuff, right? They don't like it. They don't take it. Maybe if it's on a patient tray, they will. But if they're ambulatory, if they're at home, they're not going to take it. And it's a really simple, the president of the Association for the Study of Food and Society is here. It's a really simple cultural food exercise. This doesn't fit into people's lives, and it especially doesn't fit into seniors' lives, right? They're not driving to work with a smoothie in the morning like young people are now. It doesn't fit. So we looked at what would fit. And the example is really simple. The solution is really simple. We took Ensure and we made it into, essentially, made it into a delicious ice cream. And there are high protein ice creams, that's not too innovative. But the innovation is most high protein, nutritious ice creams have all the good stuff sort of suspended in the cream. So it's like, grainy and not very palatable. Whereas this one, the innovation is the cookie dough. So this does a few things that I think are really nicely aligned with consumers. One is, while they are not drinking Ensure, the stereotype is true. They are having dinner very early, maybe 5 p.m. Around 8 p.m., they're sitting in front of TV, and there's a bowl of ice cream on their lap, right? So if we can make a delicious ice cream, they will eat it regularly, every night, without prodding, without a prescription, right? The other thing it does, you've heard seniors complain about sort of being infantilized. There's a lot of parallels between early childhood and end of life, right? We get pushed around in something with wheels on it. We might have to wear diapers. We might be fed by someone else. Seniors don't like that, right? So those little Dixie cups of therapeutic ice cream don't meet consumer needs. People want inclusions. When you walk around here, you see interesting flavors. You see chunky things and inclusions, right? So why can't they have that? So this is maybe a little hard to read. So if you look, ours is on the left and Ensure is in the middle. And at first glance, it looks like our nutrition is not quite as good as Ensure. Our calories are a little lower, and remember, we're trying to get more calories into people in this case, right? Which is different from how a lot of us think. Our fat's a little lower, our protein's a little lower. But there's a secret, which is serving size. So most people don't finish a bottle of Ensure, so they're actually not getting this nutrition. Do you know the serving size for, standard serving size for ice cream? It's a half cup. Has anyone ever eaten a half cup of ice cream? So they're eating 2 or 3 times this nutrition on the left without prodding, right? So that was our first one, and that's being commercialized now. We're really excited about that. There's a couple more. This is a very unattractive picture for a very unattractive problem. We're working with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They had led some leading research that stool softeners are really damaging to the gut microbiome, especially for kids. And I won't get into it now because I have 2 minutes. But every surgery patient everywhere, kids and adults, gets a side effect of the anesthetic called opioid-induced constipation, right? When you take painkillers, you get constipated. And so every time you have surgery, they prescribe Miralax. Miralax does damage to the gut microbiome and reduces, increases opportunity for secondary infections, right? Like C. diff. Secondary infections like C. diff are treated with antibiotics. Side effect of antibiotics, diarrhea. So we get one drug treating another drug and starting this vicious cycle. And so the nutritionist at CHOP said, well, there's really not much we could do about it because, you know, patients wake up, they don't want to eat high fiber foods like brown rice or greens or beans or all those delicious things that we eat when we're healthy. So this is not high tech, this is not food tech, right? This is grandmother tech. It's prunes and almond butter and coconut fat and chocolate. My colleague Ali developed it. It's being commercialized now. So same thing. My last story, it's my favorite story. This is new stuff that just happened in the past couple of months. This is Fiona on the right. Her mom gave me permission to share this story and her picture with you. Fiona is severely autistic, nonverbal, 4 years old. Like a lot of children with autism, very picky eater, very sensitive to sensory things. So Fiona's particular situation is she only likes crunchy. She likes carrot and celery sticks, which you see. She likes those veggie straws, which are not really veggie or a straw. She almost eats no protein because protein tends to be in mushy things. Things like cheese and beans and tofu and meat. And she will not eat it. And unlike a typical kid where you say, sit at the table until you finish this, and eventually you'll figure out how to get them to eat, she will wait it out. So she was almost to the point of needing tube feeding. And she started eating dog food, dog kibble, on her own. And at first they thought it was behavioral. They thought, oh, you know, it's kind of a typical kid thing. My kids pretended to be the dog and walked around on all fours, and you think that's cute. And they bark, and you think that's cute. Then they eat out of the dog bowl, and you think that's not cute anymore, right? It turned out she had a severe protein deficiency, which is pretty rare, and her body was craving it, and she liked the texture. So we developed a high protein snack for her as this kind of idiosyncratic kid. And it works. I have some here if you want to try it later. And it actually works. And we found many more kids and adults and young adults with similar interests. So I'm going to stop there. Just some things to think about for our discussion later. Is the drugstore and is the patient tray a possible specialty food channel, right? We tend to see drugstores as after we get our cool products into the retail, they can go to drugs. Maybe we can lead with this. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much.